Do you have a revered movie or revered actor that you think is like most overrated?
Yeah, I do. Harrison Ford, just because he's like he is so revered, and I just think that he's a fine action hero actor, but he's not like a serious actor.
He's a good Indiana Jones.
Yes,
But
exactly.
Indiana Jones is, a comic book character.
Right, and like we've got Indiana Jones and Han Solo. Like he was in those two huge movie franchises, but like, does anybody care about anything else he does? No. So
He has some good memes. So mine is Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh, really?
Just as an actor, it just bugs me. Like funny. It's so silly because no one cares about it. But the Mary Poppins remake.
Oh yeah.
So like Kevin Costner, he does a bad accent, and every time you talk about Kevin Costner, people bring up his terrible accent, right?
Especially Robin Hood.
Right. But Lin-Manuel Miranda's Cockney is so bad. His Cockney accent, and
it is bad.
no one even mentions it when they talk about the movie or his acting. They talk about his writing, the things they love about him. I'm just like, he can't get away with this.
That is true.
Not getting commented on. It was just an entire 2 hours of speaking in a just totally butchered accent.
The Oscar nominations came out today.
Do you have any favorite or recommendations from the Oscars?
Yeah. I obviously like One Battle After Another. I thought Sinners, those two are like awesome. Marty Supremo's good. I think F1 should not have been nominated for Best Picture. That's crazy to me. Frankenstein's pretty good. But definitely I think One Battle After Another and Sinners are like my two favorites.
Okay, good. Everyone should.
Yeah.
If the Academy wasn't enough of a thumbs up, trust Brandon that they're right on Sinners and One Battle After Another. I will take that. They're both in my queue, and I have not watched either. All right. Well, welcome to the Daily Thunder podcast. I am your fill-in host, Cray Allred, editor-in-chief for Daily Thunder, and joined as usual by Brandon Rahbar, our beat writer for the site. Hey, Brandon.
How are you doing, Cray? This is kind of cool. We haven't been on a podcast like just you and me in a long time. So yeah, this is fun.
The people were begging for it. They really miss Brandon and Cray, the duo, so we got to give the people what they want. And last time we checked in, it was on the heels of the Thunder finally slaying the Spurs, the kind of mini boss of the season so far, getting over that hump. And ever since, they have had a 4-game road trip where they went 3-1 on the road trip. They beat the Bucks most recently, also took care of the Rockets and Cavaliers on the road trip. They lost, and all the games were blowouts except for the Miami loss on the road by 2 points. So we'll start with the most recent, since that's most top of mind. Last night's game, Thunder beat Milwaukee 122-102. One of those start-to-finish games, although the Thunder were extremely underhanded. Still without Isaiah Hartenstein, now without J-Dub for multiple weeks plus, and also without J. Will, and also without Alex Caruso. So basically none of the, outside of Chet, none of the standard starting centers, and also none of the, I like to call them the mini bigs, Caruso and J-Dub, who size up and typically get that matchup in the paint. So those left to basically Dort and company. So anyway, what are your thoughts on the Milwaukee game and the Thunder, pretty easily handling the Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest takeaway from that game was Shai was unbelievable. Like one of the all-time Shai games, I thought. 40 points, but it was how he got the 40. 16 of 19 from the field is just ridiculous. He hit both of his threes, 2 of 2 from 3. He only shot 7 free throws, 6 of 7. I'm doing the little hand signals. Shai was just ridiculous. To have that kind of efficiency, 40 points, and I know that the Bucks aren't great, and I know they were missing
3
some guys.
shots. He
three
scored
shots.
40 points and missed 3 shots.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He was sharing the floor with Giannis, and these are 2 of the best 3 players in the world, and Shai was just so much better. Now, Giannis doesn't have the greatest team right now or the team chemistry or any of those things, but still, Shai was clearly the best player on the floor. He was just outstanding, just an all-time Shai game. So that was my biggest takeaway. Obviously, the Thunder, even without all those guys, like to be able to win by 20 points. I know it's the Bucks, but still, that's a road game on ESPN, and you're down all these players. Shai puts up 40 on 16 and 19. You win by 20. I don't care who's on the other side. You still got Giannis. To win by that much is very, very impressive, I thought.
I put in the recap, if you look at the injury report, you think, well, the Thunder have to lose this game. And then you look at the actual starting lineup, and you're like, oh, not so bad. We're going to Kyle Kuzma and AJ Green and, not world beaters around Giannis, but still, all the Bucks can and want to do pretty much to be effective is to feed the beast, feed Giannis. And Giannis, he only had 19 points for the game. So it was the Thunder effectively walling him off, forcing him to defer to his much, much worse teammates, which is saying something, because it's a Lu Dort down there and the gang of help defenders trying to retain one of the most physically imposing players of all time in Giannis. So, and I know you were always impressed by Dort, but he deserves plenty of praise for his effort and leading that charge against Giannis.
Yeah, especially the fact that, Lu Dort is all of 6'3", and, the game before, he's defending Donovan Mitchell, who's about as different as an offensive player, both of them elite, but Donovan Mitchell is about as different as Giannis as you can get. And Dort shut down Donovan Mitchell and outplayed him on the offensive end because he was 5 of 6 from 3. And then against Giannis, he helps to slow him down at the very least, only scoring 19 points. And then Dort continues to shoot so well, 3 of 7 from 3 for 13 points, had a couple of mid-range jumpers in this game, which he's kind of been going to lately. He had a couple of steals. I just think that Dort, for all the talk about Lu's shooting this season, we've got 2 sample sizes of high volume 3-point shooting where he shot 40%. I think we all knew that his shooting was going to come around, and it has been coming around lately. His trajectory, I'm not saying he's going to finish at 40% again, but he's certainly not going to be at 30% like he was there for a while. He's hovering like 34.5-ish, I think, right now, and I think it'll continue to go up. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up around 37% or so by the end of the season, just because I believe in the sample size. So the defense has been there these last few games, and the shooting has been there as well.
Yeah, Dort, one game to the next, 6'3", sizing up to face down Giannis. Game before, which we'll hop to now, Donovan Mitchell, one of the more explosive, smaller, quick guards in the league. But in a game where Donovan Mitchell goes 5 for 18 from the floor, which is pretty par for the course when he's matched up against Dort these days. And on the other end of the floor, Lu Dort, mentioned his shooting, goes 6 for 7 and 5 for 6 from 3. Those kind of games, just like, how can you expect to win if you're Cleveland? And they had no chance, right? They lost 32 points. So
yeah, that was so impressive because Cleveland had pretty much all their guys except for Darius Garland, and the Thunder still down, of course, J-Dub and Hartenstein, and Caruso goes out after just playing 7 minutes to win by 32 points in Cleveland. Look, I know that the Cavs aren't what they were last year, but that was still the 5 seed in the East coming in. They still had Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, and the Thunder just dominated from the tip. It was so impressive. Chet was outstanding with 28 points, 4 of 5 from 3. Has blocks, 2 blocks. Like you said, Dort was outstanding, 5 of 6 from 3. And then Shai, ho-hum, 30 points, 12 of 20 from the field. 2 blocks for Shai. He had that incredible sequence where he had that mid-range jumper. He goes down and blocks Jared Allen at the rim, and then goes down and scores at the rim, all within like 16 seconds, that sequence. So Shai and Chet dominated that game, and I think Lu had an outstanding game as well. So just really, really impressive win. Those two wins, I think, obviously the Bucks are the Bucks, but you still beat Giannis by 20. You beat the Cavs by 32. Both of those on the road. Very good bounce back after that heartbreaker of a loss to the Miami Heat.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very weird game. A very rare, extremely hot shooting night for the Thunder, but for the Heat, it was also a hot shooting night. And also the kind of inflection point for the games being closer than you might expect when the Thunder play well tends to be the kind of the possession battle, particularly on, the offensive glass for the opponent. And it's just the one of those trade-offs that the Thunder are still living with, especially when they're shorthanded. But yeah, you have any other takeaways from Miami? When you have a few days and you say, oh, well, they went 3-1 on the road trip, and the only loss was by 2 points in Miami on a game that the other team took 34 more shots than them. So as weird and annoying as losing a game was, I don't know. My takeaway is that, if you're going to lose a game, lose it by 2 points on the road to a playoff team.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what this was. And look, Bam Adebayo had a career high 6 threes. He was 6 of 10 from 3 that night. He was it was just one of those nights you felt like. And then Andrew Wiggins, like one of the OG Thunder killers, had that 3-pointer that basically gave him the win. Caruso had a hand in his face. He kind of closed out a little bit late, but still a decent closeout. Wiggins hits that shot. Then you can look back. Obviously, the last 2-minute report, in real time, it was very obvious that it shouldn't have been an offensive foul on Shai at the 1:14 mark. They called it an offensive foul. As the last 2-minute report said, he should have been shooting 2 free throws. That probably would have put the Thunder up by 5 because the Thunder were up by 3 at that point. Instead, the Heat go down and score a bucket. So that was a pretty big swing. But ultimately, like you said, you just lost by 2 points to a playoff team on the road on a night where Bam goes 6 of 10 for 3 for 30 points. It kind of is what it is. It was a bummer of a loss. The Thunder, you feel like, could have won that game, but the rebounding and all the shots, the advantage from the shot taking that the Heat has, that is what it is. Still, I would say a successful road trip. And now, with the schedule lightening up over these next 3 games, you really have a chance to put a cushion at the 1 seed in the West.
Yeah, so we've got coming back home, Thunder the week ahead. They've got Pacers, the Raptors, and the Pelicans coming up. Pacers, just a bummer. We should be excited every time they're playing the Pacers since they just went through a 7-game finals series with them. But of course, Halliburton's injury and their kind of pause of a season, not super competitive, not the most entertaining, not the most intriguing, finals rematch that we have there. So between the Pacers, Raptors, and Pelicans, how do you think the Thunder will fare? Do you have a win-loss guess?
I'm going to feel like it's going to be 3-0. I know the Thunder are dealing with all these injuries, but the Pacers are obviously unfortunately, it is a bummer. The hospital Pacers, they have no interest in winning this game tomorrow. They will hand it over to the Thunder. I'm sure with the weather coming in, they would just prefer to not even come to Oklahoma City.
Rain out, but we just go ahead and forfeit.
Yeah, I'm sure they would much prefer to forfeit. I'm sure they'd only want to come back to Oklahoma City anyways, given the last time that they were in Oklahoma City. And now, with the snowstorm coming and they don't have their guys. So you feel like that's going to be a win. And then, obviously, the Raptors have been, surprisingly impressive this year. They're the 4th seed in the East. So that could be a tough game, but you feel like the Thunder are going to beat the Raptors at home as long as they get a couple of their guys back. Right now, we know that Aaron Wiggins is questionable and Jay Will is questionable for the game against the Pacers. So if they play and you got Shai and Chet and Dort, you feel like your chances are pretty solid against the Raptors. And that's really the only tough one, because then after that, you got the Pelicans at home. Now, the Pelicans will surprise you. Every once in a while, Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears will go off, and they still got Zion. Every once in a while, he'll go off. But you just feel like the Pelicans are in the last place in the West. The Pacers in the last place in the East. You feel like at home, those are both wins. So you feel like you kind of just got to get that Raptors win. And this should be, on paper, a 3-0 homestand. And then after this, Cray, the schedule gets crazy hard. Like it is like contender after contender after contender all through February. Like the end of January through February, it's nuts.
Yeah, and they'll probably there will be a few more losses, a little more consternation, momentary bouts of stress about the Thunder. With all the excuses in the world, it's still it sucks to lose on national TV and feel like everyone's watching and everyone's rooting against the Thunder while they're the top dogs and everyone's trying to take them down a peg. I do have kind of a little pet theory. I think a lot of us have been quite annoyed by some of the Shai hate, especially the free throw merchant stuff and just general Thunder stuff. Part of that is just, again, comes with the territory. I once hated other teams that were great that I didn't enjoy being great. But I also kind of think that part of our just the lack of respect and kind of we're in awe of Shai, right, and what he's doing, and that's just not super universal, at least on the internet. But I think a lot of it's just that the Thunder, even through last year, just have not been getting a ton of national exposure. And Shai is not the most typical style of player, even as a scoring guard that's, scoring 30 plus points a game. And I really kind of feel like, the Thunder are awesome. Shai is having absolutely like a Michael Jordan, elite all time scoring season. I kind of feel like that people will, if not warm up to the Thunder, at least start warming up. The more of these national broadcasts that he is just, that people just have to start developing some respect just watching him be so unstoppable, because the truth is they're not watching. When you actually watch the Thunder play, he's not drawing an exorbitant amount of fouls. He's making an exorbitant amount of shots. So what do you think? Do you think there's any, or am I just, projecting my love for the Thunder and Shai onto other people that are not going to ever buy in?
No, I completely agree with you. I think you're absolutely right. At some point, you just have to appreciate greatness. And what we're witnessing from Shai right now is greatness. And, right now, the Thunder are the champs. Shai's the MVP, and he's knocked out every other fan base's. Like, he's outplayed their star. He's beat their team consistently for the past couple years. It's the young team. Everybody's kind of worried about them becoming a dynasty. So, when teams get really good and players get really good and they're beating other fan bases' favorite player and favorite team and they're getting the accolades, it becomes kind of natural to try to find something to hate on them for, unfortunately. And I'll raise my hand up as a Dallas Cowboys fan. Like, I found plenty of reasons to hate the New England Patriots and Tom Brady through their dynasty and try to denounce oh, well, they're in the easiest division. They got the easiest run every year. Then they get a home field advantage and he's got all these weapons and, they always get a break. They win by field goals and they get all the calls from the rest and all that. But at some point I just had to be like,
feels it feels so rational, right? Like, I'm not just being a hater.
Right. You just find it because you don't want to admit it. Like, you just don't want to admit hey, that player is better than my player. That team is better than my team. It's just easier and, more fun or whatever. But at some point, I'm sure Pistons fans for a long time were like, MJ is not better than Isaiah Thomas. We still beat him those couple years. And at some point, they're like, and I'm not saying Shai is Michael Jordan. I'm just using examples. Former great players.
Could be better.
At some point, you just appreciate the greatness. You're like, all right, fine, he's great. Fine. I get it. And so I think that will happen to Shai eventually. And there'll be, there will always be pushback to greatness and great teams and great players. But then, there's a balance. At some point, people will appreciate it as well. Hopefully that time comes soon because the discourse and narratives out there about Shai and about the Thunder and about free throws, one, are just not based in truth, and two, are just kind of ridiculous and unfortunate that they're not appreciating how great he is and the team is.
All right, so some grace for our fellow haters and some hope for the growth in their future as they grow to appreciate what they're watching, because everyone loves great basketball, right? And great basketball players.
Absolutely.
It's trade season. As always, lots of hot stove and trade speculation around the league, and essentially zero for the Thunder. No legitimate reporting, speculation, or need on the roster. So, in light of that, unless you got any breaking news, Brandon, of any realistic trades that might be coming down. So instead of that, I want to play a game called Who Would You Trade Ajay Mitchell For? So,
wow.
Ajay Mitchell, second-year player, was, very promising rookie, but had his rookie season cut short, was not a Bigs part of the postseason and the championship run in the end. But he is clearly way up in the pecking order in the rotation as really that secondary, tertiary playmaker, really scorer, not just, kind of backup point guard floor manager, but, can be aggressive and score and is ridiculously efficient and is not just fitting in on defense, but is making himself, one of the the Thunder guard demons that terrorize the perimeter and get steals and deny the ball and force turnovers and rush shots, and he's one of the guys, right? So as a reminder, he is 23. So they drafted him late in the draft. He doesn't have quite the developmental ramp that some other younger players in the league. And I don't want to just do a redraft. Redrafts are boring. Let's look at last year's draft and see where he fits. So I have a few groups of players, and I want you to tell me if you would trade Ajay Mitchell for this player. You can factor in their contract, but we can pretend that salaries don't have to match. So they can be a 1-for-1 swap, right? So because his contract, you can't trade him for anyone, really. So first one, would you trade Ajay Mitchell for Quentin Grimes?
No, I would not. Because I'm looking. Okay, let me say this. I'm very, very high on Ajay Mitchell for good reason. I mean, he's young. The contract he's on right now is such an incredible bargain deal, and it's that way for this year and for next year, and then a team option for the third year. So let me just kind of preface what I like about AJ, and then he's just his all around game is a seamless fit with what the Thunder need.
Okay, Ajay Mitchell for James Harden.
No, 0% chance. Negative percent chance. The lowest percent chance I could give. No, all due respect to James Harden, but no. I get that James Harden, right now, you could argue, obviously, is going to make the team better, but he demands the ball so much, and the defense, and the contract, and all those things. So no to Grimes, no to Harden.
I'm with you so far.
Okay.
Scoot Henderson.
No, which is crazy. He was the consensus number 2 guy in that draft. Of course, Brandon Miller ended up going over him, which everybody thought was crazy at the time. And, everybody thought that Scoot, if it was any other year, not the Wemby year, he would be a consensus number 1 overall pick. Obviously, he's dealt with injuries. Obviously, he could still become, at least, a star. He's still got that potential. He's a smaller player. He hasn't looked great. He's been injured a lot. It seems crazy because this guy could have been a number 1 pick, and AJ was taken with a 38th pick in what was considered a weak draft, and I would easily keep AJ over Scoot.
I'm with you. And so, just so people don't it's hard to come up with, we would trade him for Victor Wembanyama.
Right.
We're not saying this, we're not being totally crazy that, contracts don't rule all, but really as a player, you talk about James Harden, the fit is better for AJ. And I'm not even knocking James Harden, playing pretty admirably, honestly, for where he's at in his career with the Clippers, but maybe makes the Thunder better in some aspects, but just not the kind of perfect fit that AJ is. Okay. AJ Mitchell for Zachary Reese-Shai.
That's a good one. Number 1 overall pick.
And this is my only redraft one because they are the same draft.
That is true.
I thought, let's talk about the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, so this is crazy because Reese-Shai goes number 1 overall. Some people thought it should have been Sarr. Probably should have been Sarr. Obviously, Stephon Castle was the rookie of the year. And AJ goes 38th, but I would rather have AJ. I think AJ's look better. Obviously, Reese-Shai, his physical tools and his upside, I get it. I see the vision. And I think that Reese-Shai honestly would be a guy that would be like a great guy to take on to see if you can kind of, there's potential there. All that said, I would rather have AJ Mitchell than the guy that went number 1 overall in his draft.
Okay. I think I would too.
Yeah. These are good ones. These are good.
Yeah. Jaden Ivey.
Okay. Jaden Ivey is another great one because he's a guy that everybody, thought should be like a top 3 or 4 pick in his draft. And I am weak for, I've always, I don't fall in love with many players in the draft, but Jaden Ivey was one. He was one of your guys?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously he was crazy athletic. He had some really good offensive, numbers, and he really looked like he could be like a star. He's also been injured a lot. He's looked solid when he's had the chance, but I'm taking AJ over him. I really am. No, and this is like no sort of bias or anything. I would legitimately so far take AJ over all these guys.
Okay, a couple more. Desmond Bane.
Oh, Desmond Bane. His 3-point shooting would be really nice on this Thunder team. I think that he's been, one of the Magic's best players, obviously.
He is paid.
He is paid, and that's the thing. The contract. If I'm taking the contract into consideration, I definitely do not do it. If we're just talking like player for player swap, now we're getting into an interesting conversation because of the shooting and because of his gravity. But AJ's like overall skill set and fit, I think, with the Thunder as far as like another playmaker and creator, especially with J-Dub being injured right now. I'm going to cheat here and use the contract as an out and say I won't do it because the contract to me is like a deal breaker because AJ's deal is so much better. And then you get into some complicated mess when you take on Bane's contract.
Yeah, I mean the contract is when you need to pick me up. We just tweeted it actually. Just pull up the salary sheet for the Thunder and just look at AJ Mitchell's contract.
It's unbelievable.
That's why soothing sight.
I mean, and honestly, like that just it's a no-brainer when you look at contracts. Like it's a no-brainer. You're easily taking AJ Mitchell over Desmond Bane, and I might take AJ Mitchell over Desmond Bane anyways, even if it wasn't for a contract. But
okay, last one, Jabari Smith Jr.
Okay. Oh, okay, that's a good one. He famously, everybody thought he was going to go number 1 overall that year to the Magic. He falls to 3. Clearly, Chet and J-Dub and Paulo are all better. Jabari Smith Jr., I do think, he would be a good fit because he could play that power forward position. And he can shoot, and he's got some defensive skill. I would still choose... That is tough because I think he would be a pretty good fit with the Thunder, Jabari Smith Jr. He has no creation skills for himself. He can't really dribble. He can't really create his own shot. He's not like any sort of playmaker. I really like AJ's fit more on the team. Again, that secondary playmaker, shooter. I'm gonna stick with AJ. I think that's my hardest one because I still think there's some talent there with Jabari Smith Jr., and I think that he could fit on this Thunder team. Taking in contract and fit, style of play, I'm keeping AJ.
Yeah, so Jabari Smith I was very down on in the draft, and then when you feel somewhat vindicated, it's hard to, desire that kind of player as, and a kind of buy low candidate.
Yeah.
The fit, I think I'd be talking into it unless we have a crystal ball that guarantees Ihart and Chet are going to be fully preserved and intact for the entire postseason. But everyone healthy, I do think Mitchell is a better fit for the rotation. But that thin front court, I'm just a little bit of PTSD from losing these rebounding battles. Not that Smith is, a world beater, but just getting another legit two-way 3-and-D player who at least can occupy some space in the front court, just as the for the rotation throughout the game. I just think is the one little thing that just is kind of inherent to the roster when they don't have their full size, 1 through 9 players. But again, you have to talk me into it. So I don't think anyone's going to talk Sam Presti into trading Ajay Mitchell this trade season.
No.
Good luck opposing
especially
GMs.
not with that contract. and he's not like he hasn't even played a full NBA season yet. Like when you count up like all this, he still hasn't. And so when you take that in consideration, like he's still going to get better. He's still like hasn't hit what he's going to become. And then he has nights like the other night against the Bucks. Before he got hurt, he had 18 points in the first half. Great efficiency, great playmaking. I think he's the perfect backup point guard to run the bench unit when Shai and/or Dub are sitting.
Okay, well, we'll see if we're surprised by any Thunder moves. Most likely, no surprises in store, and hopefully, no surprises in store on the homestand coming up. Brandon, thanks so much for being on today and covering the team as always. Be sure to check out Brandon at Brandon Rahbar on Twitter. Everyday coverage, really anything and everything related to the Thunder and the league in general. Brandon's your guy at Daily Thunder. Of course, if you like the show, please subscribe, leave a review, share, do all the things that help us, crack the algorithm and let other people find out about good original content for the Thunder. And Brandon, I wish you had, the Thunder have an undefeated week, and I wish you an undefeated week ahead as well.
Thank you, Cray. I appreciate that. And great job filling in today, and I wish that for you as well. Good stuff, man. Good to do this again with you, man.
All right, you take care. 2-1 or better,
3-0.
Okay, 3-0.